Hi guys, Mike Reviews It All here. I'm going to be reviewing one of the fights on the main card of Bellator 192, January 20th. And this is going to be Aaron Pico's third fight with Bellator. Of course, he came in with a lot of promise, three-time All-American division champion, Olympic alternate, and he's had mixed success in his first couple fights in the octagon. Of course, that first fight, he was highly favored, ended up getting choked out in a guillotine choke 24 seconds into the first round. His second fight, he was able to knock out Justin Lin with a perfectly timed left hook knockout. His striking looks to be coming around. If you watch the knockout, the pivot and the form and where he lands the left hook could not be any better. It was literally one of the best timed left hooks I've seen in MMA for a long time. So hopefully he learned his lesson after his fight against Zach Freeman. Wrestlers often get caught in guillotine chokes, especially in their first fights as they're coming in. So good for him to come back into toured at UFC 183 and knock out Justin Lin. You know, that was a huge win for him, of course, and that first win is a big thing on MMA, of course. Which is the real Aaron Pico? We'll find out, I guess. And his opponent has been in the game since 2007. Before that, Shane Kruchten was in a different fight game. He was a former Marine and Purple Heart recipient. In 2005, he was diagnosed with PTSD and was given a medical discharge along with 9 different medications, including Zantac and Quetiapine, an antidepressant for major depressive disorder. Next few years, he would become addicted to cocaine, alcoholism, drove his car off a cliff. He found MMA and was said to have taken a lot of ass whoopings in sparring in 2006. This for a guy that already had PTSD. He got better in 2007. Fought an impromptu battle in a Wisconsin bar for $500 after finding a small MMA gym. After that, he quit his $20 an hour job as a crane operator for Oshkosh, stuffed a little money away, and said, I'm going to be a professional full-time MMA fighter. His initiation was rough, to say the least. His first 2 fights, he was knocked out in the second round in his first fight, then by a first-round armbar. He would win his next 2 fights, one by a guillotine in the first round, the next one by a second-round knockout. 2007, 4 fights in, he was looking like he had a lot of promise. However, alcoholism and cocaine, unfortunately, were taking over his life, and he would not fight again for 4 years. He would go into a 2-year depression that would end with a suicide attempt on June 14, 2009. Excuse me. He ingested as much cocaine as possible, basically, washed it down with some Jack Daniels, passed out in a pool of his own vomit. Police kicked down his door and took him into a hospital. I woke up handcuffed to a hospital bed with a tube down his throat. 2 of the guys from his gym came in pissed that he tried to take his own life. Told him if he ever touched drugs again, they would kick his ass. They took him under his wing, and the guys really turned it around. Not only was he a Purple Heart recipient and a hero in the military, he's been successful now in his MMA career. He's won 12 of his last 13 fights, including his last fight in World Series of Fighting at Madison Square Garden. I think he's a very dangerous opponent for Aaron Pico, especially considering he's finished 6 of his fights by choke and 2 of them were by guillotine. Hopefully for Aaron Pico, he's learned his lesson and practiced his choke defense. I think this is a great fight. It's hard for, I like Aaron Pico. After reading Shane Kruchten's story, it's very hard for me not to root for this guy as well, though. So this is a hard fight going in. You're looking at possibly the future of the division and Aaron Pico and a guy that's not over the hill at 29 in Shane Kruchten. You know, he's still fairly young. He could make a run in the title. So I expect fireworks in this fight. I don't expect anyone to get an easy victory, and I think this one's worth tuning in for. So tell me what you guys think. Please give me a like and subscribe if you like what I do here. Let me know down in the comments what you think, if you agree with me, disagree with me, who you think will win. Very hard for me to call this one. Based on experience, I'm going to call Shane Kruchten. And I may be wrong, I realize, but that would put Aaron Pico at 1-2, and maybe a bit of a major disappointment. But in your third fight, coming in against the guy that has 15 fights and won 12 of his last 13, I know they weren't in Bellator or the UFC, but he's been in World Series of Fighting in some other areas, and obviously lived through a lot of things. He's got a lot of demons in his past going into that cage with him. And Aaron Pico, I think, is going to really have his hands full on January 20th. I look forward to that fight, and I hope you guys watch it and do as well. Thank you, and I will see you tonight at 5.